Congress MPs have now written to the President of India. They are objecting Prime Minister's threatening language that was used during his campaign speech at Hampi, which is of course in the recently concluded Karnataka elections campaign. They have asked the President to remind Prime Minister of oath of office. The signatories on this include several Congress MPs, former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh, several other leaders in the Rajya Sabha, in the Lok Sabha. They are now objecting here to the kind of language that was used in one of Prime Minister Modi's election speeches here. They have also, of course, specified the place where the speech was given out. This is at Hampi. So the Congress MPs have now written to the President in raising that objection to what they feel was Prime Minister's threatening language. Our Deputy News Editor Meenakshi Bhanja with further inputs here. Meenakshi, please go ahead.
It is getting quite interesting by the minute, and this is quite grave, the charges that the Congress party has leveled on the Prime Minister, and especially with regards to what they are viewing as use of completely inappropriate and intemperate language, especially for someone who holds such a high constitution-elected post as that of the Prime Minister's office. The Congress has made this extraordinary representation to the Vice President of India. Why it assumes import is because former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh is the signatory to this particular document. And this is page 2 of the memorandum that we are referring to, where the Congress MPs, along with former Prime Minister, go on to clearly tell the President as to how the threat held out by the Prime Minister to the Indian National Congress's leadership deserves to be condemned. This cannot be the language of the Prime Minister of a constitutionally governed democratic country of 1.3 billion people. Such discourse, whether in public or in private, is unacceptable conduct, and the words used are menacing, intimidating, with intent to insult and provoke breach of peace. So these are quite powerful statements and some very, very grave allegations, which is being leveled by the Congress party on this speech of the Prime Minister, and clearly a point being made out that it was threat somewhere, it was intimidation, and it was something which does not behoove the office of a Prime Minister.
Right, Meenakshi, without doubt, this is pretty unprecedented in what we're seeing. You have letters by the main opposition party, this letter signed up by several MPs written to the President of India, and questioning the choice of words and language by the Prime Minister of the country.
Well, absolutely, and this is also an indication of one thing. Tomorrow is results day, and what a high-stake matter this is for both the BJP and the Congress. Although, of course, the jury is still out on who Karnataka has voted for, but clearly both the parties are feeling the pressure somewhere. This is something which will go on to perhaps signal the onset, at least, of 2019. Both understand the criticality of Karnataka, and of course, in terms of attacks and counterattacks, both the parties really not willing to concede an inch, and the Prime Minister upping the ante and the Congress not far behind, matching step to step, and really assailing this particular stance, the speech, the language that was used by the Prime Minister, and now submitting this complaint to the President of India.
Right. Also getting in more details there from our colleague Aarti with further inputs with the copy of the letter here on what exactly has been stated by these Congress leaders. Aarti, have they also specified any particular portion from his speech, or is it just one speech which they have pointed out as the one that he'd given in Hampi?
Yes, Seher, this actually speech on the 6th of May at Hubli in Karnataka is the one really that the Congress party has objected to. And in this particular speech, he has said, Congress ke neta, and I'm quoting from this particular protest note, Congress ke neta kaan khol kar sun lijiye, agar सीमाओं पार करोगे तो लेने के देने पड़ जाएंगे. This particular comment is the one that this objection note really refers to. It says that the Prime Minister is using extremely demeaning, intimidating, menacing words with the intent to insult and provoke the breach of trust. The Congress party in this letter to the President has urged the President that he must caution the Prime Minister against using such unwarranted, threatening and intimidating language against leaders of the Congress party or any party or person, as it does not behove the position of the Prime Minister. I'm of course reading from this letter that the Congress party has written to the President objecting to the language used by the Prime Minister at a campaign speech on the 6th of May in Hubli in Karnataka.
Technically speaking here, in what perhaps intervention could be brought about by the President in the kind of observation here that has been made by the Congress, they could also have gone to the Election Commission.
Well, Seher, it's highly unlikely that the President really is going to step into an issue that is purely in the electoral domain, as you say. But it is interesting, however, that the Congress party chose to object to the President and not the Election Commission, as you mentioned. But it's highly unlikely that the President will step in. But it remains to be seen whether there will be at least unofficially some exchange of words or some overture that the President makes to the Prime Minister's office.
All right, Aarti, many thanks for getting us those inputs, quote-unquote reading out from the letter of what the Congress in that objection has raised with the President of the country. Also to our Deputy News Editor, Meenakshi Bhanja, with those inputs.